Facilities that make this program possible are provided by the City of Highland Park. Programs are produced independently by members of the community. The City of Highland Park is not affiliated with the following program or the producers of public access programming and is not responsible for the content. The following program does not reflect the opinions of the City of Highland Park.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Dotson, and I'm your host today for Poetry Today. And I'm really pleased to have a guest with me, Kathleen Schandelmeyer. She is best known as the host of Beach Poets, which is a Chicago poetry reading series that's been in existence since 1990. Her books of poetry include Chicago Phoenix, published by Pudd'nhead Press in 2005, Tattoo Screams of Love, Scream and I'll Believe You, and Suck on My Toes and I'll Follow You Anywhere. Okay, those are some really imaginative and great titles. She's a Renaissance woman. She's performed one-woman shows at Cafe Voltaire and Mary Archie, as well as other theaters. Poet, artist, actress, puppeteer, and mother, Kathleen has written children's plays which have been performed at the Organic Theater and the Chicago Cultural Center. Kathleen was named as one of the 100 Women Making a Difference by today's Chicago Women Foundation. She received a Certificate of Leadership in Racial Justice from the YWCA and was awarded the title Outstanding Leader in Peace from the Peace Museum and was an Adade Wheeler Award nominee for significant contributions to women's history. She has a Master's of Art degree in teaching, and while she was in grad school, she became the station manager of WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM, where she continues to work as a DJ until this day. Wow, you are quite an amazing person.
Thank you.
You've done so much.
And continue to do so.
Yeah, the journey's not over.
It's not. No, I'm still on this side of the earth, so that's good.
Good, yes. Well, I guess I had heard of the Beach Poets, but would love to sort of understand from you was sort of how that got started. And
Sure. I was hosting a poetry reading at Sheffield's. Okay. They had a cafe in the back. It was Sheffield's Cafe, School Street Cafe. And they were rehabbing the place, and they hadn't told me about it. So I had 30 people show up for this feature and no place to go. So we decided to go out to the beach. So we went out to North Avenue Beach by the Chess Pavilion, and that's where we started. We all loaded up inside of my little Volkswagen Beetle and drove down there, poets hanging out the doors, down to the Chess Pavilion, and that's where it started. So that was really the seed of the Beach Poets.
Okay.
And we liked it so well. It was so nice out there on the beach and calm, and it was like a really wholesome environment. And I had a baby the next year, and I just decided to take it back out to the beach again and forget about doing it in a cafe where they couldn't even let me know that they were rehabbing. There was so that's what we did. And
so was this only in the summer months?
Exactly.
Okay.
I only do it in the summer from June through August. Although I've been starting out like the weekend after the 4th of July now, because there's like Father's Day and there's 4th of July and there's just a lot of competition.
Sure. Yeah.
So we start out like the weekend after the 4th of July and then just run until the last weekend in August.
Oh, so is it every week or is it?
Every week, every Sunday in
okay.
the summer from, right after the 4th of July through August. But I've been doing it for a long time.
So and what's the program? Do you usually have like a feature and then an open mic?
Yes. I usually do a feature, and then I also have a round robin.
Okay.
The poets sit in a circle, and then everybody pipes in a poem if they have one, or they can just listen. People bring their children and their pets, and they build sandcastles, and it's really nice.
Oh my goodness.
It's nice. So we moved it from North Avenue Beach up to Loyola Beach, because North Avenue Beach was getting a little crazy. They have the air and water show, and there was like kind of a muscle beach there, and people were zipping by in their rollerblades and their bicycles, and so we decided to move it up to Loyola Beach because they have like they had a stand out there where people can get beverages, and then there's a restroom nearby, the amenities that you need.
Yes,
plus parking. Parking is huge in the city.
Especially in Chicago.
Yes. So we're further north, but it's a really nice family-friendly beach.
So which day is it? A Sunday, a Saturday?
I had moved it to Saturday evenings this year. So prior to that, I'd been doing it on Sundays, like just before, so people could make it from the Beach Poets to go to the Green Mill.
Ah, okay.
A lot of people use that as a segue, kind of a warm-up. They go to the Beach Poets and do their poetry there, and then go to the Green Mill immediately afterwards. We're not that far from the Green Mill.
Sure.
So it was a good prelude to the Green Mill. But I decided to do it on Saturday because there's so little going on Saturday nights for poets in the city. I mean, there's plenty going on Saturday nights. I mean, you laugh. I mean, yes, of course, Saturday nights in the city. Are you kidding me? Yeah, there's too much, but not for poetry.
Okay.
There's really not much poetry. I think Vito Harley hosts a reading every other weekend on Saturdays, but it's like 5:30. So I did mine later, 7. So I try not to compete with the other poets. I'd like to be like, we're like comrades in art,
Oh, I like that. Comrades in art.
Yes.
Very good. Yes. Well, and you do so many other things. I mean, also as a writer, you've published several books. Well, and since we haven't introduced you as a writer yet, except to hear your work, maybe you want to start off with a poem or two.
I could do a poem or two.
What your writing is all about.
My writing is all about. So I'm going to start with a piece that I'd written for my uncle, who served in World War II. Veterans Day wasn't too awful long ago, and I really want to honor our veterans. It's something I feel real strongly about. In fact, when I was this manager of the radio station, it's the only time they've ever had an event honoring the veterans. So we had bands come and play, and then we raised money. There was a young man who'd lost his legs to it's an IED, improvised explosive device, in Afghanistan, and so his uncle was the locksmith of the campus at Northeastern Illinois University, where I graduated from, and so we had this event to help this young man so his wife could see him, because he was at the Naval Hospital out in Maryland, and so his wife needed airfare. And so that's what we did, is we raised money to be able to fly her out so she could see her husband in this, such a traumatic thing. So anyway, I really believe in honoring our veterans, and this is one of the reasons why. It's called In the Train Yards of Chicago. It's from my book, Chicago Phoenix. A survivor of Normandy's blood-soaked beaches. My Uncle Ed had a little trouble hearing due to World War II, got jumpy from loud noises, but returned home intact. Arms, legs, fingers, toes, baby blues, turned up nose, handsome Irishman. Loved by Elsie, wife and mother of his two, Faye and Donald, who shared his baby blues. Railroad man. Union, job, back to work after the war. When he left for work that morning after a simple kiss. Goodbye, darling. Sandwich in bag, coffee thermos. I've been working on the... He ought to have known when Jimmy the engineer offered him a nip of whiskey for his coffee that chilly spring morn. He climbed up the sidecar to tighten up a hinge when Jimmy, drunk, hit the rails hard, then the brakes, and Ed found himself wind knocked out of him, flat on his back, staring up at the sky. The train car jerked. He tried to get out, but not before both legs were on one side of the train and he couldn't see his knees. Only blood, the juicy stuff of life. He bellowed, not so much in pain as in shock, outrage, shame. All the bloodshed he'd witnessed and survived, but not now. Jesus, Jimmy, he cried. You cut off my legs, my goddamn legs. You cut off my legs. Riley scrambled to put his belt around one. Don't worry, Ed. We'll get you through this. I just need another tourniquet. Don't fear me, Riley. I know what's what. Now who will teach my son to be a man? Tell my Elsie I love her. Jesus, I'm doing the hoochie coochie here. I can't get warm. Warm me up, will ya? Just warm me up. Baby blues merged with the blue of the sky. My Uncle Ed survived the beaches of Normandy, only to bleed to death a year later in the train yards of Chicago.
Woo,
Yeah.
pretty intense. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a tough story.
It was a tough situation for my family to live through. Never left us, obviously. I mean, here I am all these years later, and still carrying that trauma with me.
Oh wow.
You know, to have survived such a, I mean, wow, the beaches of Normandy were no small feat.
Yeah.
Yeah? And then just to be going to work one day and just be wiped out because of it, just mind-blowing.
Oh wow.
Right? So that's an example of my work.
Yeah, well, and a very potent one, a very potent
Thank you.
example.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't shy away from like taking the family skeletons out, so to speak.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. So now you know what I should say for that.
No, well, it's so evocative. I mean, it just makes me think about, my connections with other veterans. My grandfather did lose a leg in World War II.
Oh, man.
And he came back, and an aunt would go with her mom to take him to the VA hospital. And she would say, "Mom, there's a guy there. He's got no arm." And her mom was like, "Well, yeah, but your dad has no legs." She was like, a leg, yeah, but an arm? So, it's just all a matter of perspective.
Yeah,
but yes.
it is. It is. It's true.
Oh, wow. Anyway, that's very potent stuff.
Thank you.
Neat.
Yeah,
And,
so it's something a little lighter.
Sure.
My son Vincent was just here and left us, but Vincent comes and he goes, and this is for him. This is
Okay.
something I'd written for Vincent. Of course, he was a little younger then, but nonetheless. If worry were water, here's a pippin of a job in Chicago. After school matters, Gallery 37, named for the famous block, now gone. Orphan of progress. My 14-year-old son is skateboarding his way to school, wearing a sophisticated palette of Ramones, Rock Dirt, Johnny Rotten, Eye Attack, Misfits, iPod earphones surround him, cell phone forgotten behind. I am buoyant on prayer, because if worry were water, I would drown. Several hours late, nowhere to be found, I am having flashes of Emmett Till, 14 years old. Flashes of the dark-haired, brown-eyed Brazilian man shot by the police in London without due process, no justice, just us. My Native American son is equally tan and brown. Michael John Williams, Jr., 14 years old, discovered dead in Lincoln Park. My friend Ricker, 16, found in Gacy's basement. Blood-chilling stories of abduction and murder feed my worried mind as all 6 feet of him walks through the door. I hug him in relief, then I ground his behind.
Okay, because when you said this was lighter, I was like, this is the lightest. Okay, so we got to laugh at the end.
Yeah, you gotta have that, man. It's no easy. Yeah, of course, I'm grappling with huge issues here, but the relief of seeing a child after you've been so worried, it's just like nothing like it.
Yeah.
Whew.
No, and I like that metaphor of the, if worry were water, I'd drown. That was, okay. As a mom, I can appreciate that as well.
Good, thank you.
Well, it seems that definitely one common thread throughout your work is the justice, seeking justice for all different kinds of people and all different kinds of issues.
Yes. Yes.
Your what inspires you to write poetry seems to be the more an interest in changing the world or.
Absolutely, yes. And as a result, I authored this play, Santa Girl. She's black, she's good, she's coming to your hood. That was commissioned by the city of Chicago and produced at the Cultural Center downtown. My first actress for Santa Girl, Nambi Kelly, has gone on to do great things. Yeah. Nambi wrote an adaptation of Richard Wright's Native Son that was produced at the Court Theater, was published by Samuel French, and recently was produced at Yale.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. She's like, oh, man, now it's being produced in New York. I'm so proud of her. And to have been part of her story is such a huge thing. But when I wrote the play, I got it from both sides. The people who look like me were like, why are you writing about those people? And the people who don't look at me are like, why do you know about our experience? And I just had looked around in the world and thought, here's this group of people who need a superhero. We all need heroes. And I thought, I'm going to make this hero. I read this terrible story about this woman who had gone to pick up toys for her child from charity, and volunteers had stolen the toys.
Oh, wow.
And here she was, empty-handed, going home to her child. And I'm like, that's so terrible. Yeah. How could I help her? So I came up with this story about a woman in similar circumstances who encounters an angel on her way home. And the angel tells her, you already have the greatest gift anyone can give to their child, and that is your love and your time. Your love and your time are more precious than anything money can buy. And as Santa Girl, you're going to remind people of this. So it's really a human story.
Yeah.
It's about celebrating us as human beings and changing our attitudes. For example, there's a dad in the story who is upset with his son because he gives him this mug he made. He goes, here's a mug, Dad, I made it for you. And the dad is like, did you make something? Throw it away, I don't want it. Girls are creative and make things. You should be watching sports like me, not making things like a girly girl. He's like, but Dad. And then Santa Girl comes in and she's like, he'll never hit his boy. Are you crying? I'm going to give you something to cry about. That's when she comes in, that moment. And then she says, he'll never hit his boy again. And she changes his attitude. And so when he snaps out of it, after she leaves, he's like, oh, what is this? A mug? Oh, it even has my name on it. Oh, you don't have to keep it, Dad, says his son. Oh, it's a precious gift, and I'll cherish it always. So, it's about the dad taking, being present for his child instead of imposing what he feels is right on the boy, taking the child for who he is and celebrating that child. And I think that's, as human beings, that's what we need to do we're human. From my perspective as a person, that we're all just people. And the whole color thing is like a man-made construct. There's nothing in our DNA that shows that we are any different from each other. It's just a man-made construct that divides us. And I think that if we all came together, we'd be so much stronger. We could make a difference in the world in the most profound ways.
Yes.
So with that in mind, I'm going to tell you a poem. Okay. And it goes like this. I am a person of color with a transparent soul. Skin colored white by forces beyond my control. I want to scrape my race off my conscience with my fingernails. Scrape it off and lay myself bare. Transparent soul that I am. People of the earth, my ancestors never owned another human being. My ancestors hoed potatoes in Ireland, made shoes in Norway, and mined coal in Pennsylvania. Yankees, every one of them. See, call me naive, but I see all people as one people, human. Simply human. I'm too white to walk safely on the south side of Chicago. Too white to be a brother or sister to people of melanin complexion, but I'm not too white to be the mother of a mixed-race child. Blend salt and pepper to spices. Blur black and white to multi-hues. Children born to love, taught to hate. Anything is possible in this world, even peace.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Hopefully a lot of people will watch this show. That would be great. Okay, we're hoping that this is going to trend on Facebook and YouTube.
Peace, please.
Yeah,
please.
that would be a good thing to go viral.
Thank you.
That would be really cool. But yeah,
Thank you.
I like that you're passionate about very serious and very elemental issues, and we could all learn from that, applying that passion and not being afraid to address some of the unpleasant truths that we live with.
Yeah, the inequities
Yes.
of life as it is right now.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, I'm so astonished. I'm like, what happened to the world? I thought we were going to be so much better. I envision the world as being so much better a place than what it is at the present time. I'm just like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, shootings and fires and...
I know I wrote a poem last year called Sandy Hook, something in Las Vegas, and I'm just like, and now those names don't even have the same resonance because this year alone.
Yeah, we're on to the next thing.
Yeah, it's just so many shootings, so many.
Amen. Yesterday, I
Friday.
called a friend of mine because I got a tweet on my phone saying that something had happened at Mercy Hospital.
Right,
She lives right across the street. If she hadn't left, she missed the bus. So she was like 20 minutes away, thank God. And so otherwise she would have been right in the line of fire. I mean, seriously. Like, seriously.
Ooh.
So bad. And then, of course, I have children I'm raising in the city. So I have 2 younger children, aside from Vincent, who my daughter's at Lane Tech, and my son just graduated from there. So he's in college now.
Oh,
so I'm always concerned. The way I look at it is, all people's children are my children. I love all children, and there's no reason for us not to be concerned about somebody's child just because they look different from us, you know?
For sure.
Thank God they look different from us. The beauty of the world is, that we're all different.
Right.
We're all different.
It'd be pretty boring if we were all the same.
Exactly. All right. Hello.
Agreed.
Thank you.
You're not. Do you have another poem you wanted to share with us?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a bookmark here. Let's see what the next one is. Dun 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 dun. Oh yeah, I did both of those. And then the next thing I was going to do is a little outtake from my next book, Tattoo Screams of Love, which actually has not been published formally.
Okay.
I've been like putting it on the back burner. It's a story of how I lost my first son, and it's really so heartbreaking and it's so hard to talk about that I'm like, maybe it'd be better as a post-mortem. I told my publisher, he really wants to publish it, over at Pudd'nhead, but I'm like, maybe we could.
Is that
Dave
Getchick?
Getchick, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, neat.
So I'm going to do just the prelude.
Okay,
It's like the
sure.
story. So the bald spot on the back of my head is something that I've always been ashamed of. A constant reminder of my abusive stepmother, who liked to make that my head was a baseball, and she was trying out for the major leagues. As a cheerleader in junior high, I wore my pigtails lopsided rather than reveal the bald spot on the back of my head. Everyone thought I was a little retarded, like I couldn't part my hair straight or something. Barren tundra, it sat on the back of my head, inconspicuously covered by hair, until I saw the girl in the post office in San Juan Capistrano. She was a punked-out chick with a bleach blonde mohawk who had tattoos on either side of her head. As I watched her, I thought, wow, what a great idea. Get your head tattooed, let your hair grow out. Who's going to know? Then I remembered the bald spot on the back of my head. I could do that. I went home wondering what kind of tattoo I'd most enjoy. I thought about all the things I love: men, tigers, cats, parrots, flamingos, vampires, children. None of them seemed appropriate for a tattoo. Then I went home and I turned on the television set. The Dick Van Dyke Show is on. You know, the one with Laura as an alien. I think Danny Thomas was the alien, and it was Rob's dream. And Laura turned around and she said, "Rob, I see you." She had eyes in the back of her head. Perfect, I thought. I'll get an eye tattooed in the back of my head. But what kind of eye? I contemplated. I get something ancient with history behind it. So I went to the library and I researched the eye, the Egyptian eye, and hieroglyphics means to think, to do, to be, to act. It is, in essence, an action verb. So I liked it. I brought it down to the Laguna Tattoo in Laguna Beach, California, and I showed it to the tattoo artist named Patty. And she thought it was kind of cool, but a little plain. She said, "How about this Egyptian eye?" She showed me the Eye of Horus. I said, "Okay, but how about if we do it this way, just for something different?" And I drew the left eye. And she agreed, so she tattooed it on my head. Since that time, I have discovered that the left eye of Horus is tremendously powerful. So much so that it cannot be found in amulets or medallions, even in Egypt. I learned this at a real pagan party I'd attended, where they had a ritual and everything. And this couple from a coven were bemoaning the fact that they couldn't find the left eye of Horus anywhere while they were in Egypt. And I said, "Oh, you mean this?" And I turned around and I showed it to them. And they were like, "Woo! Knockety, knockety, woo, 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 woo." I have my tattoo to this day. A reminder that good things can come out of the worst situations. I changed the karma on the bald spot in my head from something bad to something good, from something I was ashamed of to something I could show off. Tattoos were what Em and I first had in common. Our love was born of earrings and tattoos. So that's the prelude to this story I was telling you about.
Wow.
Yeah, Tattoo Screams of Love.
Oh my goodness, that's great. And I can understand why Dave wants to publish that. That's,
thank you.
Yeah, that's very
you.
powerful. Yeah, taking something that was so negative and that you were ashamed of or embarrassed by, and then transforming it into a symbol of power and
Yes.
Something that other people want and seek and
Right.
look for.
And redemption.
Right.
And redemption.
Yeah.
I mean, really, resurrection, bringing life back from the dead.
right. Horus is
I
the
had
god
no
of the-
idea. I really didn't know
okay.
at the time that I got it, but I learned it afterwards. I was like, whoa, really?
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
so that was kind of, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing to be able to take something that's negative and be able to change it around and make it into something, spin it into something positive.
Wow. Yes. Wow. And it seems that you certainly have that power with your use of language and words and being able to tell stories that are so potent.
Thank you.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
Are you working on a new collection now, or?
I have been very busy teaching. I've been teaching.
Okay.
I've been doing a lot of teaching. I discovered the joy of puppets.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right.
Puppetry with my students. We did spoon puppets last year. I did spoon puppet shows with Maurice Sendak, and I did Charlotte's Web,
Oh,
A.B.
okay.
White, we did spoon puppets. So I've been doing puppet shows with children, which is very consuming. And then I also did a little film called Modern Day Slavery, not one to shy away from the hard subjects.
Right.
I'd seen a play. I'd taken my students on a field trip to see a play called Money Make 'Em Smile by Mary Bonnet that was produced at the Victory Gardens Theater. And I took the children to see it, and we did a film called Modern Day Slavery, and it's basically to prevent human trafficking.
Okay. Unfortunately, we are out of time now, but this has been so amazing to talk to you and meet you. I feel like we should have met years ago.
You're my
You know.
soul.
Thank you.
I have one little piece I'd like to cap off it, if you don't
Okay.
mind. This is how I close out my poetry